I am conflicted between cutting into it because it is so beautiful and wanting to eat it because it smells so good. And it's a cooking show, so I'm gonna eat it.
Let's spend time with Marco, but the food is the star, so it's probably worth sharing.
Hello, I'm Marco, and welcome to my home kitchen. Today, I want to show you how to make a lavender tea cake. It is one of the most beautiful dishes I've ever made, but it tastes even better than it looks. It has a gentle lavender flavor throughout, and this juicy brightness from the lemon juice and lemon zest. This recipe is originally from Sandy at The Reluctant Entertainer, and she has a great story on her blog about Downton Abbey related to this cake. So highly recommend you check that out. Definitely recommend you make this cake. There's quite a few ingredients here. You need milk, flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, vanilla extract, dried or fresh lavender, 2 eggs at room temperature, the zest and juice of a lemon, yogurt, butter, and then for the icing, you're going to need powdered sugar, some additional vanilla extract, and in my case, I'm finishing the cake with some edible flowers I got in my CSA box. You don't need to include those, but they do make it really beautiful. There are over 450 kinds of lavender. So when you go to buy lavender for this dish, I highly recommend you look for culinary lavender. You can buy it dry online, and if that's what you're going to use, you need about a tablespoon of it, which is about 3 grams. Or you can use fresh lavender that you can get at the grocery store. You can get it from your backyard. I got mine in my CSA box. If you buy perfume lavender, it might end up having a bit of a soapy taste. It's not going to be terrible, but it's worth the effort to look for culinary lavender. To prepare the fresh lavender, you only want to use the buds. So I've got a small bowl here, and all you need to do is scrape the flowers off the end. I started with about 100 grams of lavender with the stems, and I'll probably end up with around 5 grams of lavender flowers. It smells really nice. This is what the fresh lavender looks like after it's been plucked. You can discard the stems, they're compost now, and these are going to the stove. This step is basically making lavender milk. You're going to pour 150 grams of milk into a small saucepan with 5 grams of lavender, fresh or dried. This is a slow process. You want to do this on gentle heat. So I have mine on setting 3 of 10. It's going to take about 10 minutes. If the milk scorches or comes to a boil, it's going to really change the flavor. So keep an eye on it, keep stirring, and let it gently become a new flavor. It's been about 10 minutes. Everything smells amazing in here. I'm going to take this off the stove and prepare everything back over on there. I cannot express to you in words how amazing it smells. It is floral and sweet and amazing, and I want to live in this smell forever. Listen, it's 1927. We just got electricity. The Dowager Countess doesn't know what a weekend is. So we're not using a mixer, we're gonna do it by hand. So in goes 85 grams of softened butter. If you are doing it by hand, make sure your butter is very room temperature, and 200 grams of sugar. You can use a mixer instead of doing this by hand. I really don't want to get it out, but if you want to use a mixer, use a mixer. When you're creaming by hand, what I like to do is use a wide flat spoon and push down to break up the butter with the sugar, and then fold it over to incorporate air. You want it to be light in color and fluffy like this. Now add in 2 eggs. Whenever you're mixing eggs and butter in something like this, it's really important that your eggs are room temperature, because if they're cold, they're going to immediately solidify the butter and make everything so much harder than it needs to be. The eggs are incorporated. Now going to add the zest of a whole lemon. Whenever you're grating citrus fruit, try to just get that first really thin layer and not any of the white pith. You really just want the oils, not the bitter skin. Save this because you need the juice for the icing. Add 60 grams of Greek yogurt and 7 grams of vanilla extract, and give that a mix. This bowl goes to the side. This bowl comes here. In goes 3 grams of flour and 5 grams of baking powder. And stir that to combine so there's no lumps when you mix this all together. Now you bring everything together, starting with 1/3 of the flour mixture. Stir that in. half the lavender milk, including the lavender. Once that's incorporated, another third of the flour mix. And the rest of the lavender milk. And the last of the flour. The batter is ready. It smells amazing. Time to put it into a loaf pan. I'm using a 9x4 silicone lined loaf pan that's metal. I like metal pans. I think you get a better results. You can use a glass pan. Take some butter and rub it all along the sides and bottom of the pan. This will help ensure it comes out of the pan with nice clean edges because we really need to impress Maggie Smith. The last step here, and you can do this with any cake, is put a sheet of parchment inside the loaf pan that will come up the sides. Then when the cake is finished, you can just lift it straight out and not have to worry about whether it got stuck or whether you're going to break it as you try to flip it out of the loaf pan. Press that down into the bottom and up the sidewalls. I'm right-handed. The camera is on my left, so I'm gonna do this backwards. Pour the batter into the prepared loaf pan. It smells so good. Give it a bit of a shake so it kind of settles out any weirdness. This now goes into a preheated oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 to 50 minutes until it passes the toothpick test. One of the ways you can tell if it's done is by taking a paring knife, you can also use a toothpick, and stick it into the center of the cake. And if it comes out clean, there's no liquid on it, the cake is ready. It smells so good. What I want to do now is clean the edible flowers. I have a bowl of clean water here and I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of salt. And the salt is to take out some of the bitterness that is natural in edible flowers. I'm going to dump those in and fully submerge the flowers because they have lots of fine little areas where bugs or dust can get into. Clean dishcloth and throw the edible flowers on there to dry off. If you have any with big stems like this, you can cut those or break them. I'm going to cover this and set these aside and make the glaze. You want to apply the glaze while it's still warm, but you also don't want the glaze to sit while it's baking because it'll firm up. So I like to make it right when it comes out of the oven. You need the juice of a lemon. Because it is 1927, I'm going to squeeze this by hand into my tiny, tiny measuring cup. Technically you need a tablespoon, so in my case, that was half a lemon. It's a juicy lemon. Adding that to 100 grams of powdered sugar with 7 grams of vanilla extract. Stir this together. And you can see the texture here. That's perfect. It's kind of like a pourable glaze. Now while the cake is still hot, take your paring knife and stab a bunch of holes into the cake, and you're just going straight up and down, so like a slit for the icing to pour into. I'm not going all the way to the bottom of the cake, but it's totally fine if you do. Now pour the icing on top. You're going to need to give it some help to just kind of move around. And I left a little bit of glaze in the bottom here. Now take your edible flowers, take the bottom side, and dip that in the glaze and drop them artfully on the top of your cake. You can sprinkle them on top. By doing this while the cake is warm, the icing is going to stay sticky for a while, so you have a bit of time to make this look good. I mean, I don't know if mine's gonna look good, but yours will look good. I'm using a collection of edible flowers that I got in my CSA box because I think they're pretty. You can also use lavender buds here, which will also look really good and connect with the flavor of the cake, but I'm doing this for the gram. This now needs to cool in the pan for 20 minutes, so I will see you shortly. It's been about 20 minutes. The smell is intoxicating, and I can't wait to eat this. But waiting the 20 minutes is really important to make sure this has a good structure and it holds for a few days. Not that it's going to last for a few days. The sugar is going to glue it to the inside. So you want to break that up with an offset spatula or with a knife, anywhere where the parchment isn't exposed. Then use the parchment to lift it out and set it on your serving tray. The bottom of it smells like magic floral butter wonderfulness. I don't even know how to explain it. You need to experience the magic of this cake. While I get completely distracted by the smell, you can gently fry out the parchment paper. And this is ready to serve. So to serve, cut into 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch slices. I'm gonna take one from the middle here. You can see it has just like a beautiful tender crumb. It is going to be awesome. If sugar everywhere. Gonna give it a taste. I don't have words. It's so delightful. There's a really mellow, gentle lavender flavor throughout, and there's a wonderful brightness from the lemon. If I had this and no electricity, I'd probably be happy. I think it's great. I think it's delicious. I think the Dowager Countess would be very proud of me. I hope you make this. If you do, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
So it's probably worth sharing.